In 1991, Boyz and the Hood opened a raw and powerful window into a tough childhood where every day could be your last. But the real lives of those who starred in the film are even deeper and more complex. Some left us too soon, while others continue to shine with strength and resilience. Let's uncover the real people behind the movie and their timeless journeys. If you find this story interesting, comment 1 below. If not, comment 0. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Now let's dive into the haunting truth and pay tribute to what they left behind. Doughboy, a character whose very presence conveyed a storm of emotion. He embodied a generation left behind, a mix of pride and quiet sorrow, a young man raised in a world where dreaming wasn't an option, survival was. He represented everything suffocating and painful about South Central, but also served as a deeply human reminder behind the toughness was a heart longing to be seen and loved. Ice Cube, born O'Shea Jackson in 1969, grew up in Los Angeles, right in the heart of the neighborhoods he would later write about. His father was a groundskeeper at a local college and his mother worked as a hospital nurse. They labored tirelessly to keep the family together amid the chaos of a society plagued by violence and injustice. At just 12 years old, Ice Cube lost a close friend who was shot on a school playground. That moment changed him forever, transforming the quiet pages he once wrote on into raw, angry rap verses filled with unfiltered truth. Rap wasn't just music, it was the birth cry of a storm. Ice Cube's lyrics with NWA didn't just shake up hip-hop culture, they shook the entire nation. When he stepped onto the set of Boyz and the Hood, he didn't have to act because Doughboy was him, the sleepless nights filled with gunshots, the fear of losing one more friend, the haunting feeling that no one could hear him screaming inside his silence. Ice Cube poured all that pain into his first film role, and he made sure the world would never forget it. But his career didn't stop there. Ice Cube quickly proved he wasn't just a rebellious rapper or a one-off actor. He became a screenwriter, director, producer, building a media empire of his own. He launched his own film company, founded the Big Three Basketball League, and continued using his voice to push conversations about race injustice and community forward. Despite dozens of roles and millions of dollars, Ice Cube has never strayed far from his roots. South Central still lives in every word he speaks and everything he does. As of 2025, at age 56, Ice Cube stands as a living cultural icon with an estimated net worth of around $160 million. But what makes him truly unforgettable is that he never lost his truth. He turned pain into legacy, anger into art, and Doughboy into a symbol far greater than the screen. Furious Styles is the father figure everyone wishes for in Boyz n the Hood, 1991, calm-wise and unshakably strong. With just a deep gaze and a warm, powerful voice, he conveys genuine love and discipline, not only to his son but to the audience as well. Furious is more than a character, he's a symbol of responsibility and guidance in a chaotic world. But to bring that image to life on screen, Lawrence Fishburne faced great challenges in his own life. Born in 1961 in Augusta, Georgia, he grew up in a broken family. His father, a juvenile corrections officer, was rarely home. His mother, a math and science teacher, raised him alone in Brooklyn. From a young age, Fishburne witnessed his mother's sleepless nights, filled with worry, which instilled in him a spirit of endurance and deep compassion. Starting at the age of 10, Fishburne stepped onto the stage to help support his mother. For him, acting was not just a career, it was a means of survival. Those early years of growing up fast, marked by hardship and loneliness, shaped a unique emotional depth that helped him brilliantly embody complex roles. When he took on the role of Furious Styles at age 30, Fishburne didn't have to imagine what it meant to be a responsible father. He had lived it his entire life. As of 2025, at 64 years old, Lawrence Fishburne continues to shine in his career with an estimated net worth of around $30 million. He splits his time between Los Angeles and New York, quietly dedicating himself to his craft with the same fire that created the unforgettable mark of Furious Styles. A father who isn't perfect, but the last hope in a world losing its way. Reva Stiles, the calm, intelligent, and quietly proud mother in Boyz n the Hood 1991, embodies the kind of woman who loves her child deeply, yet is strong enough to let him go so he can rise beyond the limits of his environment. Angela Bassett portrayed her with profound empathy, no need for many words, just a glance or a silent pause was enough to move the audience. Reva wasn't just Trey's mother, she represented millions of mothers who quietly fight every day to give their children a chance at something better. Angela Bassett was born in 1958 in New York and grew up in a struggling single-parent family. Her father left early, leaving her mother to raise two daughters alone in Florida. Despite working multiple labor-intensive jobs, her mother always taught them that education was the only path to change their lives. Angela took her mother's advice to heart study diligently and became the first in her family to attend college. She graduated from Yale with a bachelor's degree and went on to earn a master's in drama, an extraordinary achievement for a black woman at that time. After portraying Reva, Angela's career quickly soared to new heights. Her role as Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It earned her both an Oscar nomination and a Golden Globe Award, marking a historic milestone not only for herself, but also for black actresses. Over the next 3 decades, Angela continued to shine in culturally significant roles, from Malcolm X's wife to Coretta Scott King, and later as Queen Ramonda in Black Panther. Each performance showcased a powerful blend of authority, emotional depth, and compassion qualities that have made her an irreplaceable role model. As of 2025, at the age of 67, Angela Bassett remains one of Hollywood's greatest icons. With an estimated net worth of around $25 million, she stands not only as a testament to the power of overcoming adversity, but also as an endless source of inspiration for generations of artists to come. Whether on stage, on screen, or behind the camera, Angela carries with her the spirit of Reva Stiles, the quiet pride of a woman who doesn't need to shout to make the world listen. Brandy is the calm in the storm, intelligent kind, and steady in a world spinning out of control. She's not just Trey's girlfriend. She's his anchor in Boyz n the Hood, 1991. Nia Long brought warmth, patience, and quiet strength to the role. Born in 1970 in Brooklyn, New York, Nia Talita Long came from a family that broke apart too soon. Her parents, both educators, divorced when she was just 2 years old. Her mother, Talita, packed up their things and moved across the country, raising Nia alone in South Los Angeles on a teacher's salary. They didn't have much, so Nia learned independence early, staying sharp, staying graceful even when life got hard. That independence never left her. She was the kind of child who turned pain into focus. While other kids played, she studied, danced, and acted. Nothing came easy. Hollywood wasn't made for young black women who didn't fit the mold. But Nia's discipline and calm presence made her stand out. When John Singleton cast her as Brandy, she didn't just play the role, she lived it. Every line she delivered carried the quiet strength of her mother. Every look she gave was laced with silent defiance in the face of adversity. That role opened every door. From The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to Love Jones' Soul Food and The Best Man Nia, became one of the defining faces of black cinema in the 1990s. Her beauty is undeniable, but it's her sincerity, the blend of softness and strength, that makes Nia Long unforgettable. She played Brandy in Boyz in the Hood 1991 at just 21 years old. As of 2025, she's 55 and continues to act and produce with grace and focus. Her estimated net worth is $5 million, built over decades of steady, respected work in film and television. If you find this story interesting and want to learn more, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming exciting videos. Let's keep going right now. Brenda Baker is the kind of mother who carries the weight of the world on her shoulders and still manages to smile. She's tough, but loving, strong, yet vulnerable. The quiet strength that holds her family together as everything around them falls apart in Boyz in the Hood, 1991. Tyra Farrell portrayed her heartbreak with grace. Her pain felt all too familiar. Tyra was born in 1962 in Houston, Texas, into a family where her single mother worked tirelessly just to put food on the table. It was a small home, a simple life, but her mother filled it with love and music. Those lessons became part of Tyra's soul and helped shape the kind of artist she would become. After graduating high school, she left Texas for New York with little more than the clothes on her back. She took on small theater gigs, performed on Broadway stages, and survived on meager paychecks. The city was tough, but Tyra never gave up. Her career was a slow burn, steady and deliberate. From the stage to television and eventually to film, every role she took on, from her early school days to White Men Can't Jump, carried the same truth. She knew exactly what it meant to fight for a dream. When John Singleton cast her as Brenda Baker, Tyra didn't have to imagine the hardships she had lived through them all. Her eyes in the film told the story of every mother who stayed up sleepless nights to raise her children. That role earned her an award nomination. Tyra Farrell played Brenda Baker in Boyz in the Hood 1991 when she was 29 years old. As of 2025, she is 63 and still occasionally acts and mentors young talent. Her estimated net worth is around $1 million, a modest sum for a woman whose presence lingers in every scene she's in. Shalika is the kind of friend everyone needs. Loyal, funny, straightforward, and wholeheartedly protective of others. In Boyz in the Hood, 1991, she brought laughter to the hardships, grounding the story in a genuine reality that only Regina King could convey. She may not have the loudest voice in the film, but she's the friend you remember when the cast list appears. Regina King was born in 1971 in Los Angeles, California, into a family that faced hardship from the very beginning. Her father, an electrician, and her mother, a special education teacher, loved each other deeply, but their marriage couldn't last. After their divorce, her mother raised Regina and her sister on her own. Money was tight, and hope often felt like a luxury. The little girl who once dreamed of becoming an actress had to grow up fast, learning resilience the hard way. By her teenage years, Regina had transformed that pain into something powerful. She found her escape on television, starring in the sitcom 227, where she discovered her talent for turning real emotions into performance. Acting became her therapy. She brought that truth into every role, balancing strength and vulnerability, like a woman who had lived through both. After Boyz in the Hood, Regina began to shine. She became the face of stories that were both tragic and triumphant. From Friday and its poetic justice to If Beale Street Could Talk, the film that earned her an Oscar, her presence has been unforgettable. But behind the awards and applause, life continued to challenge her. The heartbreak of losing her son in 2022 shattered her world. Yet even in grief, she transformed her pain into art, directing and performing with a raw honesty few can match. Regina King played Shalika in Boyz and the Hood, 1991, when she was just 20 years old. As of 2025, she is 54 and remains one of the most respected actresses and directors in Hollywood. Her estimated net worth is $16 million, but her true wealth lies in her courage and strength to keep creating even with a broken heart. Lloyd Avery II played a reckless triggerman in Boyz and the Hood, 1991, becoming a symbol of the destructive impact of violence on the younger generation. This role was not just a scene, but a close and painful reflection of his own life. Born in 1969 in Los Angeles into a middle-class family, Lloyd grew up in the quiet neighborhood of View Park, away from the chaos of South Central. But just outside his front gate, the sounds of gunfire and sirens were a harsh reality. Youthful curiosity and restlessness drew him into gangs he had been warned to avoid. Despite his charisma and talent, Lloyd lacked proper guidance. His role in the film came almost by chance, when John Singleton, his neighbor and the director, cast him. Though fame came quickly, real life led him down a path of violence. After the movie, he truly lived the world his character had experienced, carrying real guns and engaging in criminal activities. In 1999, he was convicted of double murder. While in prison, he went through a phase of religious faith but later fell into mental turmoil. Tragically, on September 4, 2005, Lloyd Avery II was killed by a fellow inmate in a violent ritual at just 36 years old. His story is a true tragedy. The very violence he once portrayed on screen ultimately took his life. Lloyd Avery II played his role in Boyz and the Hood at only 22 years old and passed away far too soon, leaving behind an estimated net worth of around $500,000, a brief reward for a career cut short by tragedy. Trey Styles is the heart and soul of Boyz in the Hood, 1991. A young man torn between the streets where he grew up and the moral values that form the foundation of his life. With bright eyes and simmering anger, Trey represents the difficult choices faced by a young black man in South Central Los Angeles. Cuba Gooding Jr. was born in 1968 in the Bronx, New York, into a musically rich but emotionally distant family. His father, Cuba Gooding Sr., lead singer of the hit song Everybody Plays the Fool, left the family when Cuba was just 4 years old. His mother, Shirley Sullivan, raised 4 children on her own, juggling various jobs to make ends meet in Los Angeles. From these hardships, Cuba learned how to survive and keep his pain hidden inside. His youth was marked by rebellion, skipping school, and joining small gangs in search of belonging. The silent anger toward his absent father was both a flame fueling his passion and a vulnerability in his journey to adulthood. Acting became both a lifeline and a psychological burden for him. Each role was a step toward healing the boy who once felt abandoned. The role of Trey Styles marked his breakthrough, turning him into a star, and 5 years later, his role in Jerry Maguire earned him a prestigious Oscar. However, fame couldn't erase the wounds in his soul, it often made them even deeper. Cuba's life has been full of ups and downs, including legal troubles and struggles with addiction. But by 2025, at the age of 57, he continues to pursue his artistic career despite many challenges. His net worth is currently estimated at around $14 million, mostly from successful acting roles and real estate investments. Officer Coffee embodies the bitterness toward his own community, a cold and intimidating black police officer in Boyz in the Hood, 1991. His piercing gaze and sly tone make this character a symbol of the tragedy of a man who becomes what he once hated. Jesse Lawrence Ferguson was born in 1941 in the Bronx, New York, into a working-class family. His parents worked hard to make a living while he often quietly dreamed, fearing his life would never stand out. He came to acting late without formal training or support, teaching himself how to stand on stage and express emotions. Each role was filled with the loneliness, anger, and sadness of a man who had learned to rely on himself. The role of Officer Coffee was not just a performance, it was a reflection of his own memories and inner pain. Jesse went on to appear in films such as Prince of Darkness, Darkman, and Star Trek: The Next Generation. However, the shadow of his character, Officer Coffee, stayed with him throughout his life. Off-screen, he lived simply staying away from the spotlight and ultimately found peace before passing away in 2019 at the age of 77, leaving behind an estimated net worth of around $1 million. Dookie, the quiet boy who barely speaks, clutching his pacifier like a shield against the world in Boyz in the Hood, 1991. He represents the youth who never truly had the chance to grow up. Diedrich Digo, real name, Dwayne Fontenot, was born in 1971 in Shreveport, Louisiana, and grew up in a simple but struggling working-class family. His family moved to Los Angeles, hoping for a better future, but all he saw were dangers and violence surrounding him. Dookie wasn't a bad kid, just a curious and easily stirred child who used street racing as a way to feel alive. The role came naturally to Diedrich. John Singleton chose him for his raw authenticity without any formal training. He also appeared in Poetic Justice and Higher Learning. Diedrich's life ended tragically early on November 19, 1994, just days before his 23rd birthday, when he was shot and killed during an argument at a street race. The character Dookie in Boyz and the Hood represents the unfinished story of a young talent crushed by the very streets that shaped him. Diedrich's net worth was estimated at around $100,000, mostly from his work in short films and his brief but memorable appearances on screen. Mad Dog didn't just appear on screen, he exploded with a raw, wild, and unpredictable energy that made audiences believe danger could take any form. He embodied chaos with a human touch, swift and fierce. Lexi Bigham Jr. was born in 1968 in Illinois, into a working-class family where love was the only abundant resource. Money was scarce, and opportunities were few, but his extraordinary determination helped him break into Hollywood and land promising roles. After Boyz and the Hood, he continued acting in films like Dave 1993, The Air Up There 1994, and Sassaman 1995, delivering small but vibrant performances. Colleagues described Lexi Bigham as gentle, humble, and often making others laugh, yet he always carried a deep, quiet sadness within. Tragically, on December 17, 1995, while his career was on the rise, Lexi died in a car accident in Los Angeles, an accident unrelated to drugs or any other factors. His passing was a huge shock to everyone who knew him, a flame extinguished far too soon. Lexi Bigham played Mad Dog at just 23 years old and passed away at 27, leaving behind an estimated net worth of around $200,000. Esther Scott played Tisha's grandmother in Boyz in the Hood, 1991, when she was 38 years old. Though her screen time was brief, she brought a sense of peace to every scene she touched. With her gentle voice and calm demeanor, she embodied a woman carrying the pain and wisdom of many generations in just one look. Esther Scott was the embodiment of quiet strength in a world that had forgotten how to be gentle. Born in 1953 in Queens, New York, Esther experienced hardship from an early age. Her parents worked in factories and often came home too exhausted to talk. Their home was a place where silence meant fatigue, not peace. From long nights in a cramped apartment, she learned two things: resilience and independence. Acting became her escape. She graduated from San Francisco State University with a degree in theater and spent many years fighting for every role she could get. Hollywood was never quick to open its doors to her. Esther often played mothers, teachers, and neighbors' characters living on the sidelines, but somehow she brought life to their stories. She gave voice to those whom audiences often overlook because she herself understood what it felt like to be forgotten. Yet behind her steady smile and calm voice was a woman worn down by work and loneliness. She never found comfort to truly rest, and by the time she reached her 60s, her heart carried too much burden. On February 14, 2020, Esther passed away from a heart attack at her home in Los Angeles. She was 66 years old, leaving behind an estimated net worth of around $1 million. Ferris isn't the most prominent character in Boyz in the Hood, 1991, but his presence carries a quiet, unforgettable weight. With cold eyes and a calm demeanor, he represents the men of South Central who have endured so much that their silence becomes a form of threat. Raymond Darnell Turner, born in 1961 in Los Angeles, grew up amid violence and injustice. He turned to acting not for fame, but as an escape, taking on small roles, living simply, and bringing unvarnished truth to every character he played. Though Turner appeared only briefly in the film, he left a hauntingly authentic impression. Afterwards, he lived a private life, never chasing the spotlight. On February 15, 2024, he passed away in Las Vegas at the age of 63. The cause of death was not disclosed, and perhaps that silence was his way of closing a life that never needed noise. Ricky Baker is the light of Boyz and the Hood, 1991. Gentle, hopeful, and carrying fragile dreams that seem too delicate for the harsh world he lives in. The ball in his hands is not just a prop, it's his escape. Morris Chestnut was born in 1969 in Cerritos, California, into a peaceful middle-class family. Both of his parents were teachers, kind, patient, and firm believers in discipline and education. While many around him faced instability, Morris grew up in a warm and orderly home. Despite his comfortable life, he still saw the fears lurking in his city good kids disappearing from the streets overnight. This awareness shaped him, teaching him to work hard, stay humble, and always hold on to hope. He studied finance and theater at California State University, believing one day he'd work in an office. But fate had other plans. His first big audition was for John Singleton's Boyz and the Hood. Morris Chestnut played Ricky Baker in Boyz and the Hood 1991 at age 22, honoring young men dreaming of rising above adversity. After the film, despite struggles in Hollywood, he persevered and built a solid career with roles in The Best Man, Ladder, 49, and The Resident. By 2025, at 56 years old, Morris continues acting with an estimated net worth of around $6 million. If you appreciate the stories behind Boyz and the Hood and the journeys of its actors, don't forget to like the video, share it with fellow film lovers, and subscribe to the channel to keep following authentic and heartfelt journeys from the screen. Thank you for watching the entire video and see you in the next ones.